Friday, and I am with my musician friends. We've got AttaBotty and Godcloud, and we are going to be chopping it up. So looking forward to talking to you about this week because we're talking about when an artist shares their musical process, whether it's creation, strategy, marketing, or anything else. How do we feel it affects the artist or the perception of the artist? Does it affect our mystique? We're going to be unpacking this and many other things on this same topic. We're talking about teaching versus sharing. We're talking about collaboration versus coaching, perhaps. But we're going to get into it. But first and foremost, let me introduce myself. My name is Maxximillian. My friends call me Maxximillian, and I am a music producer, singer, songwriter, and many other creative things. But today, we're focused strictly on the music and music creation. And let me introduce my co-hosts, AttaBotty and Godcloud. Phyllis, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yo, I'll go. Hold on, I got the right headphone in. Yes, I do. Sorry, I'm trying to tune this guitar up too. I didn't realize how out of tune it was. Just driving me nuts. But yeah, what's going on, everybody? Godcloud here, first finger drummer on the Ethereum blockchain, multi-instrumentalist and collector of Dragon Ball action figures. You can see this right there. Currently the CTO for Malas Palabras Records. Really excited about cool stuff we got coming. One of the things we're working on is going to change how the show looks too, which I'm really hype about. And what else do I do? Oh yeah, currently the voice of Wild Zero Professional Wrestling here in upstate New York. And yeah, let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that.
Awesome. My name is AttaBotty. It's like an out-of-body experience. I'm an audio-visual artist, so I do visual work, but I also do audio and audio production. That's my main thing, is doing music production. And so between the both of those, I make stories and through visual storytelling and through my instrumentals, because a lot of my music doesn't really have lyrics unless I'm collaborating with somebody. And then outside of that, especially in Web3, I'm a co-founder of ZAO, which stands for Z Talent Artist Organization, where we empower musicians and artists to help them either onboard them onto Web3 or to help feature, anyone who wants to get involved. And it's just kind of like a thing to help out the community in many ways that we can. Also a founder of the AttaBotty Productions, which is my in-house studio with me and my wife. We run a mom and pop shop where we do commissions, a full production, so video editing and all that stuff, animations, custom music. And between all of that, I have a lot of time and fun making music and have a lot of fun stories to share with all the questions we have today.
And I'm so excited about it. It's so funny, like, whenever you said mom and pop shop, I'm like, it's a mommy poppy shop because because y'all are so hot, right? Yes, that's the facts. You know what I'm saying? When I think mom and pop shop, maybe when you're like another 50 or 60 years old, you can be a mom and pop shop. But right now, y'all are hot. And yeah, so it's like a mommy poppy shop, you know what I'm saying?
Like I always imagine the farmer with the pitchfork and the wife when I hear mom and pop shop. So yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up. We young, sporty, and rich. Let's go.
Let's go. I'll take it.
Yeah. So the first question that I have for today to jump us off is when an artist shares their music production process, how do you think it affects our mystique or the audience's perception of our artistry? So I'll go first, about the music production process. So like me personally, I've learned the most actually from watching people who weren't trying to share their process with me. I've squatted oh man, I wish I had timed it. I don't know how many hours I've racked up squatting in like live recording sessions for like some of the most famous albums. And I just, get a good spot where I can see the engineer and the engineer's fingers. And I can also see like, moving around, just trying to really just fade into the background and watch because I've really learned the most by watching a person because I'm learning about how they think. without them explaining necessarily.
Mm.
But I've also learned a lot from people who were outright teaching. But what's interesting is the times that I was learning from someone who was outright teaching, it was always like the developer of a technology. Uh, I can't think of very many musicians that make it their business to teach. Definitely, there are like music producers who do some teaching for sure. But as far as musicians, I really can't think of any that teach. And so, I think this is like for me, I don't teach. Like I do some sharing, but especially when it comes to music production, I feel like there's a lot of room because like there's ways for us to share our process that doesn't necessarily, no one can necessarily copy our style. However, some of the things I could share would have people copying. And there is something to be said about like a certain sound and production, like there's certain things that I don't mind sharing. So like, for example, here's an example, something I don't mind sharing. When I send somebody like my music files, like the way that I line them up and how I label them and all this kind of stuff, like I don't mind sharing that. It's an infrastructure thing. It's really helpful to be organized. And actually somebody taught that to me. Another music producer taught that to me. But that's something that can rinse and repeat. Like if you set up your tracks the way I set up my tracks, first of all, it's not going to be, you can't hear that. It's not audible, right? However, when it comes to other things like maybe plugins that I use or how I stack them, what levels I use, these things are copy and paste. And there is a thing about people borrowing your sound. And I think so for me, I definitely draw a line between things that would dilute like the nuances of my production that I don't really want to share because they are copy and pasteable and it does affect the sound, So what are your takes on this, guys?
You want to go first, Godcloud?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. So how because I sell sample packs, so I'm literally being like, hey guys, here's my sound, like buy it, use it, you know what I'm saying? But there's still certain things that you're not going to really be able to get out, of it that you would get that'd be different than me, or that would be the same as me playing on your track, so to speak. Even though I feel like you're getting kind of these snapshots in time of whatever I'm feeling, whatever my ability is at that time. But I always look at production as kind of capturing your talent. And there's techniques and shit that I've developed on instruments, from whether it's drum machine, guitar, bass, whatever the fuck that people can't do, that they're just not going to be able to. And if they want to learn, they're going to have to do like me and spend like, years trying to do it, because I've got a really like unorthodox way of playing like everything. So I had lessons, but I still kind of went about things my own way. Like example, like I do this thing where I don't know if you guys I can like flick with all of my fingers on the guitar, and that's like almost like a flamenco thing, but not really, because I kind of saw somebody do it, and I'm like, oh, is this how they do that? And it ended up becoming this whole other weird thing that I do. So even if you're taking stuff that I have or putting it down, you're probably not going to put it together like how I would, just because I'm, and everybody is like this, I feel like we all have our own quirks and how we do things. It's kind of like our voices, like how we all talk different. Somebody might be able to do a great impression of somebody, but you can hear on certain phrases or certain emphasis on different syllables. It's like, oh, that's the whole right there. So I feel even if somebody tried to make something exactly like me, they're not going to be able to do it exactly like me. And even if I gave them the fucking recordings, the sounds, it was just like, even if I was like, hey, here's the session, do it, do the thing, whatever. I don't think they'd be able to copy me fully, just because of how uniquely I've trained myself. So I hope I answered the question. I feel like that was kind of like a long
no, definitely,
for
sure.
Yeah. Okay,
100%.
cool. Then that's my answer. Take it away.
Yeah, no, just to like double down on that too. To go into a story, because I've been doing this for a long time. And when I was really young, just like a lot of producers, I would try to get my hands on anything that I thought would like give me advantage or put me in like the pro category. So, you know, I get cracks of things. So one of the first cracks of something that I got of a bunch of programs, and don't do this, but I did it when I was younger. So, you know, you can learn from this experience anyways. But I had gotten like literally like the whole Waves, their entire plugin series, except three, like right, everything you could ever want. I was like, yeah, let's go. This is going to get me like, I got good stuff now. This is the stuff. And what I found out really quickly, is like, I don't know how to use this shit. So I actually made worse mixes. My mixes were coming out all kinds of whack. And I'm like, but I got the good stuff. And I'm like looking at the tutorials. I'm looking at what these guys are doing, but I'm not replicating it at all. And it started really dawning on me like, this is like maybe kind of like that thing like ear training, you know, where you're learning pitch and like you just need time for your mind to be able to start really truly being able to pick apart those things and be able to study that or rhythm is another thing, like where once you get that in you, then but it takes time. It's like building brick by brick. And that was like something I had learned even with mixing and sound engineering and all that, is that there's like a lot of things like to get the compressor to do what you want it to do individually with any kick drum that you or snare that you could ever put on it, or bass or vocals. And it just took that time for me to really hone in on those subtle details. So for me, and long point here, but one of the things that I always like go for is like, I'm like a total open book. I like, you know, I'm one of these producers. I'll show you my entire, my track, my playlist, or excuse me, my whole, you know, my whole project file so that you could see what I'm doing. Because to me, it's like, even if you try to replicate it, like Godcloud was saying, there's like going to be years before you can be able to start manipulating them just right. Because even for the things that are copy and paste, they may have copy and they may get like that similar thing, but you learn really quickly in like a audio production that like each song, each track, each recording is a case by case scenario. And so it's like up to you to know, okay, this was recorded this far away from the microphone, so I want to probably mess with the EQ in such and such a way, because literally because it's 6 inches away from the microphone versus like 3 inches away from the microphone. And, you know, different ways things are captured, the way you want it to stick out in the mix. And so these are like processes and decisions that take a long time to like, you know, learn to navigate what's the most like appropriate, especially for your individual sound. So I just tend to just like, you know, anything you want to know, anything you want to be taught about, like I try to like put everyone in the right direction. And, you know, and I even want to actually start putting out more things to be helpful in any which way. Cause I actually went through that, you know, cause I more or less, cause I have like kind of maybe I'd say like 1/3 like traditionally trained, and then 2/3 I like read my own book, or not read my own book, but read books and taught myself, not, but you know, follow tutorials.
Oh yeah, no, I
yeah,
got you.
through years and years and years of doing that. And so I just want to repay that back as much as I can to help anybody who is confused like I was for all of those years. So, but I will say there are some times though that when I'm like working with somebody where I don't necessarily hide things from them or not working with them, but when they're like asking certain things or whatnot, I try to like push them in a direction where I don't show them the shortcut first. Like, it's like, I like them to like try to like realize all the things that go in it. And then after they got it, then I like give them the cherry on top, be like, but there is a shortcut to this. And then they're like, oh, what? You know, and I feel like we all learn better. They have a better understanding of it. So that's like the only time I like hold back info. But because like, yeah, you know, like I feel like it's everyone's better for it. But that's kind of how I feel about it.
Well, that's very generous of you. That's very generous. And also, like, you know, you have established a place where people can come to you for specific learning. And I think that's something that is important to note, because you are identifying yourself as a person who teaches when you do that. you know.
Mhm.
So, but what were you going to say, AttaBotty? I didn't mean to
Oh
jump.
yeah. No, I was just going to end off that I know that there are audience members and people who are like non-musicians that
Mhm.
it totally does ruin it when you give away or you talk about what you did, like some samples like I'll do, and then I'll be like, that was just me going wow wow. And then I just fucked with it and they're like, ah, really? It's like, and I get it. But at the same time, I don't see they're to me more or less than the people who are like, whoa, you're actually able to get your voice and then mix it up and change it up, So I tend to just like, I'll just take it from the people who are like, because it's worth it for the people who do appreciate it, in my opinion. I feel like there's more of that.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know, that brings me to, I have a next question too, but you know, you said something really interesting, and it's like, so like I call, like how you're like, oh, I was just going wow wow wow, right? So like I call that like showing my panties, right? I'm like showing you what's under the skirt right now, you know. And everybody doesn't need to see what's under the skirt. And I really am a strong believer in this, because especially when it comes, whether it's visual art, music, you know, and especially like filmmaking, like anything where like you're creating an illusion and the illusion is the product, right? You
Right.
know, we can, you know, denude it of its power by you know, kind of showing people what's under the skirt. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I think that there's something to that. You know, Godcloud, were
Yeah.
you going to say something?
Yeah, no, I totally hear what Otta's saying, because I tell you what, like when I first, like a couple times that this has happened to me, when I would hear some music and be like, oh man, like yo, that's gotta be, homeboy done went to the like Himalayas and is like playing his guitar in a monastery or some shit. They're like, oh no, I went in the bathroom and just brought my little amp with me, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh,
Or
oh.
kind of like when I started pro wrestling and got that shit ruined for me for the rest of my life.
Oh.
When they're like, I'm like, well, how do they? It's like, okay, well, listen, this is how you do it. This is how every wrestling match is this, and then I'm just like, ah, fuck. I'm like, okay, but at the same
Wow, wow,
time,
wow.
if you can, but like if you're a creator though, that's either gonna make you so there's two, like, schools of thought. I feel you're gonna either be like, ew, that's it, like I can't believe I ever appreciated that, or you're gonna
Brother,
be like,
ew.
damn, okay, how can I do something similar? What can I go do in the bathroom? Oh, that sounds weird, but like what like how can I do something great? How can I do something equally great with a similar process? Like, how can I make my stuff stand out doing something? Because if it's something that anybody can do, then if it really is like something that anybody could do, then everybody would be doing it. But everybody's
Mhm.
not doing it. So clearly,
Mhm.
there's some, like, level of personality or uniqueness that you have to try to, like, either pull out of the ether or rot out of your brain itself and twist and turn it and bend it into something. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Yeah,
so
but
yeah,
once
that's
you've
the
done
magic
that,
I find.
but that's what I'm saying, Godcloud. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So let's zero in on this, right? Because you
Okay.
hit on the nose what my point is. I'm not talking about the stuff that's not unique to you, but I'm talking about the stuff that you did innovate, the little weird thing that you did create. Once you figured it out and you show somebody what that is, they didn't have to go through your whole process. They can just go right to wow, wow, wow. You know what I'm saying? And now they've got your shit. And then they're going to be spling it all over the place. And they're not even going to say, oh, I got this from Ada. Wow, wow, wow. They're going to be like, look what I can do. Wow, wow, wow. You
Sure.
know? And so that's
And
what I'm talking about, is like when you do all the work and you do innovate like a something, because a lot of times the things that we innovate, it's not super complex. It's just the innovation that it took for us to get to that cool, simple thing. Like, uh, you know, if I sing and then I reverse it, and then I throw some certain filters on it, and I have this whole like thing, right? And the result is something that you never could have guessed how I built it. Never in a million years, right? And then maybe I throw it into my sampler and I'm playing it on my drum machine, right? But if I tell you all that, you can go do what I did, and now you've got my template for for my unique sound. If I
Yeah.
tell you, for example, I never use a whenever every time you hear a Maxximillian drum sound, a simple kick, it's never just one kick. It's actually breaking glass, a fart sound, and a such and such, right? And now you've got my template, and now you can go layer all your things too. And it's like, but that's my secret sauce. And now I've given you my sauce. Now, is your sauce going to sound like my sauce? Yes, it will actually. Not exactly like, okay, this one has more dill or whatever, but you have completely leveled up your music thing, and you can apply my template to everything you do. And I've just given you like a huge, like, you're stepping closer now to my sound. And for somebody else, they might not be able to tell the difference between your track and my track because you're using all of my templates. So
Sure.
this is more like what I'm talking about. I'm talking about these things that you're giving the recipe to the sauce. So you're yeah.
I got a quick short answer for that. That to me, if I came up with something and let's say everybody started using that, that's something that I want. I love.
We'll see how you feel about it in a few months.
No, like I'm serious. Like there's so peep it, right? Like hold on. I'm gonna show you something. So this guitar here that I got built, right? Let me pull it up. I say pull it up like it's a file or some shit.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
I got so many. But you see this joint here, right? Woo! So I got this made. In these pickups right here. Granted, I didn't like design these pickups or anything, but after I had the guy make my guitar with these pickups, every guitar he made after this, he put these in standard.
Oh, he pulled a Rodney Jerkins. He pulled a Rodney Jerkins on you. For anyone who doesn't know, that is not cool. I don't think that's cool.
Listen. My fucking favorite thing is to anytime I see somebody playing one of these shits with those in them, I say, hey, do you like those pickups? You're welcome. That's because of me. There are people who are playing on like the big stage who have guitars made by dude with the same pickups in it. And he acknowledges it too. He's like, I didn't know about those until Godcloud had me build his joint with it, And that means the fucking world to me. If I could do something that leaves a mark on music, and even, people who don't even know me, and I don't even give a shit if they know that I'm the one who did it, like off the rip. I'm gonna tell them if I see them. I'm gonna be like, hey, yeah, like you're welcome for that shit. But that's leaving your mark. I feel to me anyway. I think that's beautiful. I'd love like shit, dude. Like imagine if somebody was like, yo, that's the Maxximillian drum break or whatever.
Because yes, that's beautiful. But so earlier I made a reference and I said, oh, he pulled a Rodney Jerkins on you, and that's because I don't know if y'all remember. This is like I think it's like early '90s, but Brandy came out with this song and she totally changed her sound. It's when she came out with that album that had like The Boy Is Mine, and it was and it was like this. It's the song with Monica, and she had this whole new sound because she started working with Rodney Jerkins. And what the problem was, they created this unique sound together, and then every album he did after that for all the other pop artists, he gave them the same sound, and she was really mad about it. And I understand because they all had her sound, and it was a production sound, and it was like. Do you remember this song "Never Say Never" that she did? And it was like it started off with like the plain sound, and it was just a whole new sound that we never heard from her or anybody before. And then after that, then it was like every pop star had that song, and they all came out with something that sounded like it. And I remember going, "That's not cool," because And so the difference is like Godcloud. If that guy was telling everyone this is the Godcloud pickups, you're leaving a legacy. But these most of the time when people are borrowing from us, they're not giving us that credit. They're just waving it around like they innovated it.
Sure.
And
Now
so,
I got another question off of that, which you
okay.
just brought up.
Yeah.
Shit. You know what? Let's get to the other questions because
Oh, okay.
I feel like this is like a forever
Oh, is it?
topic here.
Okay. Well,
I can go on forever on it.
okay. Well,
I'm sorry.
don't apologize. If it comes back, definitely bring it up, because the next one is this. What's your take on fans or upcoming artists reaching out via DMs for detailed advice or mentorship? Detailed, like, for, and I'm not gonna lie, I get this a lot. People saying, how did you make that? Well, who are you? Here's a person, like, they, maybe they just started following me, they've never engaged with me, and they're asking me for like detailed advice. And I'll be honest, no one's ever asking me out of curiosity. People are asking because they want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's a person, and I don't put myself out there as a teacher.
Yeah.
So here's this person who's invested nothing in me. They've never collected any of mine. They don't own any of mine. They maybe just started following me. They've never talked to me before. I don't have anything invested in them, and they don't have anything invested in me. We don't have any kind of friendship or agreement established. And here they are. They want me to tell them how I made this or that. They want to know all the details. It's like, so how do y'all feel about that? I'll go last. You already know.
Ada, you got it. I just talked a lot. You got it.
No, 100%. Yeah, no, I'm all about decency. I think that it's really, for somebody to, do something like that, it's I feel like you either got to be prepared to spend a bunch of money, or you got to really, really understand what you're asking. And if you don't, it's just something I'll do what I can to point you in the right direction, but I'm not going to go out of my way, especially like you were saying, Maxximillian, like where, I don't know the person. There's never been any type of interaction. There's never been any type of like, even acknowledgement, just how'd you do that? But at the same time, when I do put myself out there as like an educator, like for instance, some of my tutorials on YouTube, I do want to, sometimes people just ask, and I just do what I can to be as informative as possible. But I was asking for that. I put myself out there as a teacher, so I want to clear up any kind of confusion. But when people do come up to me, there is a bit of a little expectation, and that there's going to be decency, and that you're going to like also respect my time and how much I have to put into this, because like at the end of the day, I also do private lessons for this type of thing. And, if, like I said, if you got the money, then, then the time's a little bit more of a thing. But if you're just going in there, yeah, I mean, I would think that you would think to, maybe show some support, maybe be more somebody who I even know before going into that, because yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to ask somebody. I mean, like we all know, if you're going to go to a lawyer and ask a legal question, that, you got to respect their time. There's some money going to be involved, or pro bono has to be known. Like it's like very important time. So it's like, as a professional and being an expert, it's like I would hope that people would want to do that same thing. And when they don't, I'm always professional, always very helpful. I try to steer people, but you're going to get much less out of me compared to when the other way around happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, Godcloud. So what about you? Like, where do you draw the line between being helpful and protecting your time and intellectual property?
Yeah, I mean, like as far as intellectual property goes, that's why I made Godcloud Records and Publishing. And it wasn't so I could go around like publishing other people, so I could be the first, line of defense to make sure that my shit is mine. You know what I mean? And I get people all the time being like, "Yo, dude, give me that snare." I'm like,
well, you got to get a fart sound, a breaking glass, and you got to lay it.
Yeah, right. And I'm like, okay, well, that snare and more is in my sample pack at godcloud.org. That's what I tell them. Like, hey, if you want it, here's the link. Go get it. And
Yeah.
you know, and if you can't like get that or respect that, then okay, then you are losing the plot at some
Right.
point.
Right.
And I will say this, I'm a bit more lenient with like my students. Like if someone is consistently paying for lessons, you know, we're meeting regularly. If they got a question during the week, like, hey, yo, I'm trying to remember, then yeah, I'm sending them videos, being like, hey, well, this is where you're messing up. Do this, tighten up, because motherfucker, next lesson, I want to see you improving. So good. Like, thanks for asking the question, but we're like, I'm doing this shit to make sure that you're advancing, because if I don't feel like the student is advancing, then I feel bad. So it's but luckily they're doing good. But but yeah, you know, and there's been times too where I had a situation where I felt that a beat of mine got jacked. Like I was riding around in the car and the video just popped up on YouTube, and I'm like, hold the fuck up. I'm like, wait, what? And I'm listening to it. I call my production partner at the time. I'm like, yo, bro, check this shit out. And he's like, yo, dude, you got jacked. And he's like, hold on. And he goes and makes this video, the track side by side, and holy shit, it blew up. It blew the fuck up. Me and the producer ended up going at it. This was this was like, you know, this was a Slump God Juice World XX Tentacion song. It was Nuketown. But that I don't know if you ever heard it, but that that's in the beginning of it. It sounded exactly like, and you know, it never got like proven or anything that it was mine, but it was like how it just sounded way too similar. It was like, how the fuck by coincidence does this shit happen, you know? And I never forget that. I don't know if you guys know Kato on the track. You know the producer, no Kato. No, he had that. He's the dude who produced that. I'm so pretty and he like that something kitty cat. No, he never heard that song. Well, anyway,
I feel like the name sounds familiar though.
Yeah, or no, it's Kato. Yeah, Kato on the track. Yeah. But like anyway, he's like big time producer. But it ended up making it to him, and he ends up making a video about it. Doesn't really like call out anybody directly, but he's like saying like, hey, this is how you should go about that situation, this and that. And everybody's like tagging me in it and shit. Like, yo. And they're like, nah, fuck that. And
do something, Godcloud, do something.
Yeah. And I'm just like, yo, I'm like, this shit is getting way out of hand. Like, I just was kind of like, hey, guy, I'm like, yo, like, this shit sound like my shit. And now the internet is like, yo, that dude stole your beat. You need to pay Godcloud. But anyway, Kato ended up, you know, talking to me in the back channels, being like, yeah, man, he's like, I see what's going on. He's like, I see that it's getting away from you. I see that this is, you know, kind of escalating on its own. You know what I'm saying? He's like, but I just wanted to make that point. And then, you know, he gave me some other advice too, which I can't really remember because I was getting really like high back then. But but yeah, like maybe if I wasn't, you know, doing so much of that, I would have probably done that a bit smoother. You know what I mean? But no, like it was really cool for him to still take the time and like kind of talk to me and be like, hey, you know, so there are those situations where I don't want to call them like emergencies, but if you feel like you can really make an impact on somebody's life and it's not going to take you, you know, it's not going to cost you a lot, then I think those times are exceptions. You know, like if I see somebody about to like drive off a fucking cliff, I'm not about to be like, well, hey, time is money. I got to go to the fucking store. I got to do this podcast without a Maxximillian. Like, good luck with that. You know, I think that's cool to be like, hey, yo, you know, listen, you might want to handle things differently in the future because obviously it was fun at the time because I'm like, yo, like I'm getting hella clout off this shit, you know, like, hey, yo, we doing it, you know, like cut them up, boys, we going to the top, you know, but yeah, so there's a fine line, but ultimately, you know, like Otto was saying, what it comes down to is that initial respect my time. Respect the craft also too, you know what I mean? Because I'm never gonna go to a motherfucker and be like, hey dude, give me that fucking snare. Like The fuck? The fuck they do that at? You know,
People have asked
so yeah.
me for people have asked me for vocals. Even they say, "Can you send me some?" I'm like, "Who are you?"
Wow.
You know, people ask me for vocals. People ask me for lyrics. You know, people ask me for all kinds of stuff, and it's um, like I respect the closed mouth doesn't get fed or whatever like that, but also it's like, you know, the game is sold, not told. Christopher Williams said that. You know, Christopher Williams, the king of R&B, definitely. He said the game is sold, not told. And so I feel like the proper way to establish this kind of like relationship would be to ask. Here's what I would do, right? Is if there was someone who I really wanted to learn from, and they weren't a teacher necessarily. I mean, it would have to be something, first of all, that I couldn't figure out on my own. I don't know what that even could be, honestly, because I have, you know, I'll be honest, I have a bit of a chip on my shoulder about this. You know why? Because my time is valuable as fuck, and I read the manual front to back. Why? Because I want to master it, and I feel like if I took my time to learn and read the manual, and here's like this other person who I don't know, and like sometimes I'll tell you why it gets up my nose is because it's like everything that I know how to do, I learned from a manual or from, you know, fucking around and finding out.
Yeah.
You know, I put in the time. So here's a person, and they're asking me something that is answered in the manual. So, you know, I'm like, hey, that information is actually in the manual if you check it out. And they go, yeah, well, I don't really have the time. So you think my time is less valuable than yours, that I should spend my time teaching you who I don't even know instead of working on my own music? I mean, it's actually happened so many times that they even say, yeah, I don't really have the time to read the manual. Can you just give me the TLDR? It's like, no. No. And it's interesting because it's happened so many times. I just think, like, I don't think it's personal against me. Like, oh, Maxximillian looks like a person to fuck with. Not like that. You know what I mean? Like, but I think it's like it literally must not come to their mind how offensive that is, or like how inconsiderate. I'm not quite sure what the word is, but it's like if you didn't want to take the time to read the manual how to use this equipment, but you know, you're coming to me. Like the only times I've actually called up a friend and asked for help, it was every time that's happened, I actually discovered a bug. It was a bug, and I couldn't figure out because I read the manual, I read it over and over again, and I really couldn't get it. And I went on the okay, here this is my response. If somebody really wants to know something, I think the best thing to do is first try to find out for yourself. Number one, you know, have you read the manuals? Have you been in the FAQ? You know, have you been in the Discord of the actual community? You know, if someone has a question about PreSonus, like Studio One, like I love Studio One, I love using it. But like, if it's a general question about how to use a software, like I don't work for PreSonus. I love them, but like I don't get a paycheck from them. You know, there's people that actually get paid to answer those questions. I would say like ask those people. But you know, on the flip side, if it's like you know, sometimes maybe it is something that's not addressed in any of those places, or maybe it's like actual like detailed, like they want help like establishing a workflow or something like that where it's really not addressed. I feel like it's really I would never be offended if someone said, hey, do you have introductory meetings, or you know, do you give lessons? Like if someone asks like, do you give private lessons? Like that's very respectable. Even if someone's not a teacher, they might be willing to coach you if you approach them the right way, and maybe they won't too, and you got to be ready for that. But if someone, you know, if someone said, hey, like, you know, do you give lessons? And then the other thing is like, AttaBotty, you hit on this, and I just want to put some mustard on it because I think it's super important. You've got to know what it is that you want to learn. If someone comes to me with a specific question, I will usually, if the question is specific enough and it doesn't take too much of my time to answer it, and it's an appropriate ask, meaning it's not in the manual or something, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't necessarily be like so annoying. But sometimes when people just go, how do you you know, how do you start a track, or how do you, it's like there's so many other people teaching that, you know. So for me, the defining factor is like my time is valuable. And when people approach me as though they feel I owe them my time because theirs is so valuable they can't read the manual, that's a no-go for me.
Right. Yeah. I feel like it's pretty obvious when a person's like, especially on social media and having any kind of presence, you can quickly find out if somebody's teaching anything at all or if they're just showcasing their art and being an artist. And I think that that's something also really important to consider too, because me personally, I just really wouldn't feel comfortable even asking an artist because of how much there is to uniqueness and all that kind of thing. But if I had seen that, oh, look, this is how I got this effect, or I did this, I would feel like that's somebody who I could approach a lot more. And if there was somebody who I like, oh man, I feel like I could just like cold email them or whatnot. I mean, I honestly, I don't know if I would do it. I would probably bide my time, do what I can, like show support. And then like, but to me, it's just like, if you're not really showing that you're a teacher, it's like, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of the signal there in itself. But I feel like you can dip into it by asking, do you do private lessons? I feel like that's a really respectful way that they're just plainly just like, no, I don't do it. Or yeah, I could do it, you know? And I think that there's no offense to that whatsoever. So, hey.
Hi, Dylan. She's just so
studio.
Gorgeous. Oh, the little musician has arrived.
Yeah. She's going through a goth phase right now. honey, careful.
So adorable, baby goth.
I'm trying to move she's hiding from me. She's got this little Wednesday dress, and she's going around saying, I'm not Dylan, I'm Wednesday. It's like, all right, whatever you say. It's not a phase, Dad. Here she goes. She just got a little stepping stool. There you go.
Love your dress. Love the
they
dress.
said they love your dress. Can you say thank you? Hey, honey, you are about to fall. Honey, I'm trying to put her down safe. Daddy has got a guitar. We are in a spinny chair. This little girl is fearless. All right, kiddo, no hitting. Yeah, we go to pick her up from daycare the other day, or from preschool rather, and she's standing on this big cube, and she's telling everybody like, "Get out of the way! I'm about to jump off of this." And we're like, "What are you doing?" The teacher goes to grab it.
She's crowd tripping.
Yeah.
She's getting
ready. Like, kiddo, but yeah, she's a little rock star. You a little rock star? Yep. All right. Yeah. Cool. But
I'm getting ready.
Yeah. She is a handful. Daddy, just clean that up. So don't take that apart, honey. Jeez. Yeah.
So Godcloud, I got you. Because Godcloud, this is a question that I have for you. And AttaBotty, you might have a story too, but I think Godcloud has a story for this one as well. Mm-hmm. So, has there ever been, or have you had an experience with a fan or aspiring musician or a peer where it led to a collaboration, or have you found some situations to be like one-sided?
Yeah, you know what? Both. I'll say both. I remember I met this one cat in one of the Reason forums on Facebook, you know, and you know what? I'm just gonna say this too. There's like a love-hate relationship with me in the Reason and in the drum machine communities too. Like either you really fuck with Godcloud, or you're like, kind of like people are like, oh, all he's doing is that finger drumming stuff. Just sequence it. And I'm like, dude, what? Fuck all, like if I can make it all at once with my hands, why would I sit there and click the notes? Right? Like what the fuck? Just do it all. Do it all at once and get on with your life. Shit. You know, like shit. Quicker you do that, quicker you get back to doing all fucking around.
That's because they're jealous. They're jealous. They're like, he looks really cool when he does that. My girlfriend's looking at him. I don't like that.
That's what I think a lot of the shit was. But you know, especially when Reason started paying attention to me, when they started like backing me up and sharing my stuff, and I know all these other hardcore Reason heads are like, oh well, I sidechain everything, like even my sandwiches, I sidechain the fuck out of everything. And it's like, dude, like okay, man, like whatever. It's like, you could just like kind of dip the attack on the bass too, and then you won't really have to side chain everything. That's a whole other thing. Now I'm giving out free tips, but no, I remember I met this one cat in one of the Reason groups, and he was super cool, and he sent me like some cool like 3D printed. Jesus Christ. Dylan, can you stop hitting me, please? But hold on, honey. Let Daddy take his guitar because I don't want you to hurt yourself. Relax. But yeah, that same cat ended up being one of my best friends and one of the like illest devs in Web3 too. I brought him in. My bro Chuck. I don't know if you ever seen me chilling out with Chuck Hop Crash Shape for Shay. That's my fucking brother. Like we've done all sorts of stuff together, worked with all, when I got into Web3, I brought him in with me and we did like everything together,
Nice.
So that's somebody who I met and just somebody who was reaching out saying like, hey, I use Reason. I see you do too. I see you getting, doing this stuff. And we're still best friends to this fucking day, now we want to talk about on the other side of that, like, of course, and I've been pretty vocal about this. Am I saying names right now? Am I saying names?
Whatever you feel will be like the most conducive to like the situation going forward.
Well, because I feel like people who know will know. But yeah, like this one cat, I remember when there was this big so-called festival, metaverse festival, going on. He was booking talent. And I told him like, hey man, first he's trying to get everybody all the artists that he's booking to pay him for. Now this is my whole gripe about it. if I'm tasked to put a show together and I just start yelling from the rooftops, hey, I need performers. I'm not going to ask those performers to pay me anything. Because I need them for me to do my job. I need them, Had it have been a bunch of performers who are like, shit, we're just some lost old little performers. We don't know where to get money to perform at. And this person's like, oh, hey, I got connections. I can hook you up with some shows. Let's do this. Now that's a together thing. That's something different. That's a team effort, I see.
Like a collaboration.
Yeah, that's a collaboration. Yeah. Or like a typical, like how an actual, like agent would do, because I've been an agent before. Where I'm like, hey man, like I'll get you some stuff, but I want my cut as well, and that's understood from the jump. But when it's like, hey, I'm tasked with putting a show together. I need artists. Oh, by the way, I'm going to get you paid, but you got to give me a cut. That I don't think is right. So I tell this person the freshest way to do it. I'm like, well, listen, we got to do this the freshest way possible. And I'm like, why don't you ask the company to pay you? Why don't you ask them to pay you instead of us taking the crypto out of our pocket that we just got?
Yeah,
we just got paid to here, honey. When you put the mallets back in, put them through the top. Yep, put them on through the top. So the
he's such a good studio dad.
Other way, yep, just like that. So they fit. You got it. Oh, put it through the skinnier ones then. Sorry,
you're good. You're good, Godcloud. Yeah. You make being a dad look super fun.
the one right here, honey, it's skinnier. So like down there, but. You got just set them. You just set them down, kiddo. It's all good. Boom. There you go. Perfect. Very good. Well, yeah. So I'm telling them, like, hey man, why don't you get them to pay you instead of us having to pay you, and then further losing some scratch on gas and sending it to you and all that stuff too. It's like now we're paying the blockchain. And hold on, kiddo. Daddy's talking. Daddy's busy, kiddo.
Stop being
Well, honey, if you let daddy do his thing, then daddy can. But honey, give daddy a minute. I love you. But give me a minute. So yeah, so I told him, hey, why don't you get money from the company instead of getting money from us? He completely blows me off. It's like, whatever. It's late. I don't got time to talk to you. Then I end up getting cut from the show, and the same person ends up doing exactly what I said. doing exactly what I said, gets paid from the company, and then gets everybody else paid too. So yeah, so definitely, and I guess I kind of just kicked that myself. They didn't ask me for anything, but I just was like, hey, this seems kind of like common sense. Doesn't make sense what you're saying, so why don't you do that? So yeah, so those are 2 times where things have worked out great, and then another time where things didn't turn out the freshest, if you know what I mean. So.
Yeah, for sure. Damn, I'm sorry that happened. You know, it's interesting. I feel like a person's background and their experience has a lot to do with this. AttaBotty, do you have a personal story that you want to share on this note? Do you want me to rephrase the question, or do you remember?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I wanted to know, in your experience, has an interaction with a fan or aspiring musician or peer led to a meaningful collaboration, or do you find that it's been one-sided, where the onus was all upon you and you were really sharing for their benefit, but it didn't feel collaborative. It felt, and I don't like, a lot of times the word I'm hearing a lot people they say, oh, this person was extractive, right? So there's people that are extractive, where they definitely, like those people that come and they're asking for stuff, but they haven't even thought about what's in it for you, or whether or not there's something in it for you. They're not offering you anything. They've nothing invested in you. But then there's levels to that, and so where maybe you were willing to share, but afterwards maybe you said, you know what, I spent a lot of time doing that and it didn't really benefit me that much, but they got a lot out of it. Like, so I'm just curious, like, what have your experiences been, and what are your insights coming from that? Especially the reason I'm asking this question is because, for someone who's watching or listening, like, just to preface, right, just to help, is like, when these kind of things happen to us, a lot of times we don't share it with our friends. So like, whatever stories you share might be, the first time someone's hearing this and going, yeah, that happened to me. And so I'm really curious to know, like, what your experiences have been, and what were your takeaways and your insights and everything.
Right. Yeah. No. Thankfully, the majority of the experiences that I've had with people reaching out, and whether it be like a supporter, or somebody who's interested in my music, that has been very pleasant. But there are times I feel like, where it just, like you were saying, where there was let me say it this way. Yeah. Like, for instance, I'll say, let me go through some of the positive first, and then I'll like contrast that with the other experiences that I had. So with most of the time, I really like doing collaborations. Like, I work with my wife, so almost everything I do is a collaboration. So I'm not as much as like some artists that like are very more seclusive, or isolate themselves in their artistic process. I'm all the time having somebody else there, so I like it. I enjoy multiple ideas. So most of the time I do find out things, learn new things. I push myself in different ways. So it's like something I actually really seek out, is like doing good collaborations, and then like making sure that they all line up with the scheduling and all that. It's a fun process for me. Like I said, sometimes it really pushes me too, because like I didn't know how to do something as well before, or we need something for something, and I really enjoy that. And it always, to me, it like the light at the end of the tunnel is so worth it. But there are times where it's like the collaborations where like it's like kind of goes back to that whole thing of asking for help, and where it wasn't respected at all, like you as like what you were. I mean, there's this one time where somebody was wanting me to make it was I can give a little detail about it. I was doing this one animation composition for an animation series, and she ended up I had connected with some of the vocalists that were doing things there, and she was really excited for me. She's like, I have another project that really needs like a composer, and I think you'd be perfect. And and all kinds of stuff. I was like, yeah, let's do it, and I'm knowing that everybody like in this whole like community doesn't really have the biggest budget. So I'm like really like working with them in the best way possible. I'm like doing these different kinds of contracts for like later on after the animation does a little better, then we can re-examine the contract and the licensing and really like working with them, going the back, and so I'm like kind of given that kind of thing. And this is like earlier on too. So it's like I don't have like the portfolio. So I was willing to do a bit more. And I remember just talking to them, the other crew that had they had recommended me to, and I was like, yeah, I could do something, and what's your budget? And they're like, well, we don't really have a budget. And I was just like, okay, well, I could do this certain type of licensing, and then later on we can re-examine it, and if you guys are doing good, then we'll talk about different types of royalties then, and I just kind of led them through the whole thing, very professional, and and they were like, ew, like licensing and this, like, they were like so bothered that I even brought that up. And right. Yeah. And I was just like, first,
Extractive.
just like, right. Yeah.
That's
So,
extractive.
you want me to do all this? And like, do you guys know anything of what you're doing? Like,
yeah.
And to that point, like, obviously, yeah, if they're a startup group, there's probably a lot of things they don't learn, but maybe you should learn about how people's time, and that's a common practice, very, very standard, that, yeah, we're going to be talking about licensing and copyright and agreements. And if you're not willing to deal with that, then I feel sorry for the person who eventually gets suckered into your thing, because, it's
yeah.
right.
Straight up, no cap.
Right. Yeah. It's bull crap. So I just, that was, I have experiences like that too, where people, don't realize that they thought that this was only, and it's like, that's where I just like, kind of like, okay, whatever, and I'm always professional and everything like that. But, those are my like least favorite experiences, is just people who are like, who are offended by you doing like a standardized thing, or and are so out of like touch that they want so much from, like you're saying, extractive, like 100%, like defining that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's I think you really hit it on the nose. It's about I'm sorry that happened, by the way. It's and I know it probably won't make you feel any better, but it's happened to me too, and it's even happened with people who I thought should know better.
Right.
So it for me, I think it's all about the attitude that people have when things are approached, right? And I've had some situations, and even recently, where unfortunately things didn't work out, but it wasn't because we had irreconcilable differences. It was because somebody had an ego issue, and it's like it's kind of like when people say, "Hey, Maxximillian, can I ask you a question?" And I always give my little wicked grin. I say, "Well, motherfucker, you can ask." But it doesn't mean that you're going to get an answer from me, right? But you can ask, right? I'm never angry that somebody asked, right? I might say, why do you want to know? Or I might say, well, I'm not going to tell you that. Or I might say, that's none of your damn business, but I'm never mad that the person asked the question. And I feel like that is, and also I'm not offended that a person asked the question. Now, I have been offended sometimes by the way a person has approached asking me a question. For example, like if someone, but mostly it's their response to my, if someone doesn't like my response, this is typically where the danger zone is for me. If someone asks something of me and I don't give them what they want, their response to my denial of their request tells me everything. And I even had a situation last weekend, and probably the
100%.
month before. Yeah, and probably the month before too, where somebody asked me for something, and I wasn't upset that they asked me for it, but their attitude immediately changed to one that was disrespectful when I didn't respond the way they expected me to respond. I think, because I'm very generous, because I'm, I try to be soft in my approach. You're AttaBotty and Godcloud both, we had private conversations. You know how loud I can get. You know what I'm saying? And you know how rowdy I can get. This soft voice is just something I use so I don't scare people. But and in some ways I'm a big softie, but really underneath all that cushion is a bunch of ice. And it's come from hard experiences. And this is something that I really had to work through recently, because I kind of got caught by surprise dealing with somebody's attitude about my response to something, which, like, I feel it's always okay to ask me for something or make a request, but when people feel entitled to information from me, or if someone feels like they should have access to, like, whether it's my address book or my contacts or or whatever, I feel like it's always better to get in communication with the person. And if they ask me for something and I say, let's talk about it, usually that's my response. I usually will respond with a question. If the answer is no, I usually won't just come out and say no. I'll usually come out and say, tell me why you want to know, right? Or let's talk about this, because there's usually a reason behind my no. And it usually involves protecting that person or protecting myself, or keeping things smooth or clear, or there's something that maybe they don't know, because it's just a part of who I am as a person. And I'm a person for whom protection is a form of love. It's a form of love. I think protection is the highest form of love. And when I say protection, that could be protection. It also takes on looking out for somebody, right? Because protection doesn't always mean that you're trying to shield someone from something, but it could also be like recommending them for a job, or like when my friends that go in my DMs, they say, hey, did you see this this open call, or did you see this opportunity? Did you see this artist residency? Like, I know that doesn't fall under distinctly protection, but it goes in the same realm of looking out for me, and right. And so, like, for me, like, collaborations, especially when there's more than one party involved, there's a lot of protecting that needs to happen. Like, you got to protect yourself, your time, and also, like, even when you have licensing agreements, that's all about protection. When you have songwriting splits and you do this, you're supposed to always do the splits before you start writing together, right? That's about protection too, but it's about protecting your relationship, right?
Yeah.
When we create schedules, that's about protecting each of our time. If I, like, for example, you guys both know this thing happens Friday at 11 o'clock, and I'm sorry that we've gone over because we're about to disperse. But at the start of every meeting, what do I say? What time does everybody have to go? You know what I'm saying? Like, what time do you have to leave? Because I'm caring, even though sometimes I fall short, like today, because we're like, 15 minutes over or something, and I'm sorry about that. But even it's about respecting you. I want to protect you from spending more time than you need to with me, even, and that's real, and so it's a part of who I am as a person to look out for my friends, and also to look out for myself, because looking out for ourselves and making things clear in the outset is how we protect our relationships.
Yeah.
And I feel like ultimately, clear agreements and clear understandings, it's all about relationships. And so, like, I care a lot about my relationships. If you've been following me for a while, you might not know this, but, like, I don't have siblings. And I'm not very close with family members, right? Like, some people, they have like a big family, and even if they had no friends, they've got cousins or all these things, or they, like, Atta, you have your beautiful wife, right? Well, I don't have a married partner. I don't have a life partner. So each relationship to me is precious and sacred, and I care a lot about my relationships. So, I'm always, and this is the most important thing I wanted to say, I'm always looking for signals and signs that things are going wrong so I can fix it, right? And so, and I say that to say, like, I think it's super important for everyone to remember that when we approach each other, you don't know how many times that person's gotten burned. You don't know how many times that person didn't get paid. You don't know how many times, like, you don't know that person's history and all the experiences that they've had. And so
Right.
when we approach someone, you know, intrinsic to that approach is we're presuming that they know they can trust us. And the first thing that someone can do if they want me to freak the fuck out is say, you trust me, right?
Right.
You know, so that's what I'm saying. Is like, you know, and it's funny because that's the first thing people want to know. And this is why people get so offended, I think, is because about agreements and stuff and licensing and stuff, because there's this, I think, a very wrong assertion that when you want to get something in writing, that you're not trusting them. First of all, it's hard for me to trust anyone because I've been burned so many times by people who I thought were friends, by people who I thought I could trust. I've been burned by bosses. I've been burned by mentors. I've been burned by friends, lovers, family. Everyone has burned me. And it's just a part of how my life has been. You know, and maybe I have more burns than most people. Maybe I don't. But all I can say is it's made me keenly observant of when it seems like things are going south, because I want to reel it back in, get in communication, and make sure everyone is happy. Because like I said, I care a lot about my relationships and I want to protect them.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's funny because it really is, you know, in many senses, like, you know, when we just pull out the contract or we pull out the copyright agreement type of thing, and when everyone's like, it should make you feel better. It should like bring everyone at ease. Like,
yeah, because it makes me know that you take me seriously. When I walk into the studio and I see the paperwork out, I'm like, these motherfuckers know we're about to make a hit. Let's go, right? I'm like, let's go, you know? And at the same token, like, I've also had friends where, like, you know, it's like I lay out my expectations before I come. I say, all right, we're going to do the splits before we songwrite. And when I leave, I need a copy in my hand. I'm not leaving your studio unless I have a copy in my hand. No, you're not going to email it to me later. No, it's going to be this, and this. And that's our agreement. And if I show up and there's like some excuse, oh, the printer didn't work, fight at Kinko's, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, there's like these certain things. And it's like, it's all about how do we treat our business and how do we show respect? And I think maybe for some people that aren't, either they haven't got burned enough, or they're not well versed in, or they haven't got burned enough, or they're not well versed in business to understand that people wanting to organize the paperwork and stuff, to me, that's respect, because they're protecting the business, they're protecting the relationship, and they're letting you know that they take you seriously.
Yeah, big time.
100% there. Yeah. There's been so many times where I've been like, yo, paperwork. And they're like, okay, we'll get it. And they come back and they're like, hey, you got the stuff? I'm like, you got the stuff? Like, you got the paper? You know, like, I promise I'm not making a weird reference, but it can apply in so many different worlds. You got the paper? Yeah, I got the paper. Well, guess what? I got the stuff. Here you go. We're good to go. You know,
there you go.
Like, and you know what would always drive me up the fucking wall too? When I would hear this. Oh, this one's just for fun. This one's just for fun. I'm like, well, you can get the funk out of my fucking face with that shit. You know, it's like I would always hate that. And it's like, well, how about this? Then, you know, it's really fun to me. Fucking paperwork, motherfucker. I wish I could like have zoom ins on my face when I like get loud like that. But yeah, that shit used to drive me nuts. I remember I had to tell this one guy, I was like, listen, man, I'm not doing this shit for fun. Because you know who it's fun for? It's fun for the motherfucker you're trying to impress by getting this work done for free from, you know, me and my Rolodex. Like I got the crew together. Now you don't want to go to the person that you're trying to pitch this to and say, oh, well, it's costing money right now. Because you know, we got Godcloud and whoever else on the track, and they want money right now. You ain't getting a note. You ain't getting nothing. Not, you know, I need some of that, you know. So yeah, people and I think a lot of people too get afraid of that rejection. That they get afraid of missing out an opportunity potentially, you know. But it's like, hey, think about it this way. What could you make that opportunity for yourself? Could you potentially get the same attention from doing something yourself versus doing this, then maybe not even getting mentioned on the project? You know what I mean? Like, luckily, like on that you guys, I don't know if you guys could see it, but the record thing that I did with George Lopez, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you can see
Yeah,
it
I
up,
can
like
see it.
it's up there, that right there.
I see it.
Like, I had to fight to get my fucking name on that. I had to fight to get my fucking name on it. And I'm like, yo, dude, so what are you gonna say? It's a record for who made the music on the motherfucker? Who made the music on the motherfucker? But luckily, through me being who I am, I ended up, still maintaining a relationship, and now we're partners at a record label together, but that was that same type of shit. Oh, for fun. Oh, this,
that
that.
is bullshit. That is manipulative bullshit. I'm so sorry. And I'm sorry because I know y'all homies now, but you know what? It's manipulative bullshit.
But it wasn't George. It wasn't George who was doing it.
Well,
it wasn't George who was doing it.
He's a professional, so I wouldn't really expect that from him. But I'm saying, I thought you said that you got the relationship solved between that person who was saying it was for fun.
Oh, no. I'm saying me and George are cool now.
Okay.
That,
I thought
that
you meant
person was trying to stand in the way. Because, that's a whole other fucking story. But
it's interesting. And I know you guys have to go. So let's do last thoughts. Here's mine. I don't do this for fun. I may enjoy myself, but it's also how I sustain my lifestyle. And I chose to do this because I saw it could be lucrative. If I just wanted to make money, maybe I would be a hand surgeon like I wanted to when I wanted to when I was a child, or an attorney or something like I thought I wanted to when I was a child. But, I'm doing this to make money. And also, a final parting thought is I don't set my friends up to do work for free either. I don't set my friends up to do work for fun. And if some people are making money and some people are not making money, that's not a hobby and that's not for fun. And when you are having a group of people where some people are getting paid and some people are not, that is not equitable and that is not fun. And, it actually happened to me where someone who I thought was a friend, I call them frenemy or friendly, a friendly approached me, someone who actually, they see themselves as your competitor for they must. They're friendly, but they don't actually try to collaborate with you. They'll talk with you and find out what you're doing, and then they just try to copy you, but they don't copy with you. They don't go, hey, I like what you're doing, let's do it together, or hey, I like what you're doing, can I join your crazy circus? Instead, they go, hey, what are you doing? And they take notes on what you're doing, and then they copy and paste it into their own stuff. It happens a lot. I don't like it. I think it's crap. When I see it, I distance myself, and I don't consider that friendly business. It sucks ass. And it's actually happened to me before where someone who I thought was a friend, they approached me and they straight up lied. They just straight up lied. They were like, yeah, we got together over the weekend and we kind of like masterminded this project, and we can do it really fast and we all make a little money. But then I found out later that they actually had a signed contract, and the person just totally represented what it was to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, if we're all eating pizza at my house, and Atta starts going like this, and then we all just like jam, like, I'm not gonna be like, hey, paperwork, you know? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes it is on the spur of the moment. And I love to play, but we all need to be playing. It can't be that we're all in my kitchen going like this, and then Atta takes the master and then goes and gets a deal with it. That can't be how it happens. Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? So for me, I have all of these experiences, and, I talk with y'all because y'all are my good friends, and I'm sharing it with the world because both of you have given me the platform to make me feel comfortable to share these, I think, important stories. But, I just say to everyone watching, please just remember, when you approach another person, whether they're an artist or not, many people have had experiences that they may never share. And it would be more kind of you not to ever ask anyone to trust you. Make an agreement, or at least say what your intentions are. And it's okay to write it down. When you write it down, it helps everyone stay on the same page. So anyone, final thoughts?
Oh man, just you said it. I think that, there's there's a lot into making sure that relationships are maintained. And one of those things is just like you said, making sure I have your back covered. It's like, you know, we having a ledger of this. And so that means you can read through all this whole thing. And then if you're happy, that means we're both happy. You know, it's as simple as that. And to that other point, you know, like you're saying, you know, is if somebody asks me to trust them, that's when I start feeling like my heart racing, you know. And it's just, yeah, not a good thing to do, but it has a lot to do with, like you're saying, being burned a lot. And we do that. We get burned a lot. And you know, because my mom, she's a vocalist and she's been in the music industry her whole life. And one of the things that she used to get told a lot when she would be performing is that, wow, it must be great not to have to work for a living. And, you know, and it used to piss her off, you know, because she's loading these big ass PA speakers, working with the club manager, hiring a band, like practicing for months, like you guys know it, and you name it, like that. What are you talking about? You're having a good time. I'm working. You know? And,
right.
You're having this is the service to you, and I'm glad. It must be meaning I'm doing my job in such a good way that you don't see the effort that I'm doing. I'm making it look like fun. So, you know, and that's everywhere, even with people, professionals that are approaching us. So, no, this is not necessarily for fun. It's like, it's what I chose to do with my life. But at the end of the day, you know, my son is asking me to hang out with him, you know, like I would really like to go for a walk, you know, like there are things I like to do. And, you know, spending 7-8 hours in the studio straight to get a project done for a thing is reserved. It's work. That's like work, no matter which way you look at it. If I was coding, it's 8 hours of work. You know, I'm making beats or I'm making a project or I'm composing. It's still 8 hours of work straight. So, you know, yeah, that's not like, we're not, you know, that's I want to get paid.
Yeah.
And
We
you
ain't fucking
deserve
around.
it. Yeah,
we
you
ain't fucking
deserve
around.
it. Yeah, you just look at all that equipment. Look at all the equipment. Look at my blue microphone. You know, I didn't get this blue microphone for free. I got this t-shirt for free. This t-shirt was free, but guess what? Even this t-shirt wasn't free because I had to buy a flight. I had to go all the way to East Denver. Thank you, Linnea. I had to go all to East Denver. I had to buy a ticket. I had to pay for my house, my room at the temple. You know, I had to pay for my Ubers. Even this free t-shirt cost me money.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, you got to earn that shit, you know?
I earned it.
Like, that's the thing. Like, I always say this too, like, all the free shit that I've gotten or any, you know, like, cause I've had family members be like, oh, must be nice type shit. You know what I mean? I'm like, motherfucker, like, listen, like, I took a big risk just getting out of the kitchen industry, you know, because that was my thing, you know, like I was doing very well there, and people still to this day, like when I took my family out to eat at one of my old places, like, yo, man, you ever think about coming back? I'm like, dude, look at your face and look at what I'm doing, and look at what I don't say that.
They look 100 years old. They got wrinkles. There's like burns.
I'm like, bro, I'm like,
stress.
Yeah, and Ryan, if you see this, I love you, bro. I'm just fucking around. But no, you know, it's like I'm like, dude, like, no, like I took a big jump. There was no safety net. And I can remember one time, I was, you know, I used to smoke in the bathroom a while ago because I had the fan and everything, and I'm sitting in there, and something just hit me. It was like, fuck, like, what if this shit don't work? What if this shit? What if I fucked up? Like, what if I made a mistake? Like, all that shit started. And I always remember that because I was like, this is the last time I'm gonna think that way.
What if what doesn't work? What, music?
But yeah, I was like, what if it don't work? Like, what happens if it just doesn't do what I'm hoping it's gonna do?
I think
like,
about
what
this all the
happens
time.
if I lose everything? Like, what if something bad happens and I gotta sell all my shit? Like, something just that popped into my head, and I was like, and I'm like, dude. That's when I came up with the thing, like, dude, it only don't work if you quit. If you just decide to give up, then that's when you failed, when you quit, you know? So after that, I always just put it in my head, like, yo, well, I gotta, you know, live with this kind of, you know, with maybe not expecting a check every week, like I used to get paid every Monday. when I was in the kitchen industry, but it's like, yo, you got to make that. If the people whose restaurant you are a chef at, if they could kind of do this, then you can do this yourself, you know? So when I've gotten all these quote unquote perks, when I'm getting, you know, access to cool shit, you know, when I can hang out with cool people, when I'm just in the mix like I am, you know, like a big thing for me was that my daughter's first concert got to be Carlos Santana because of my proximity to Andy Vargas. You know what I'm saying? Like front row, fucking. It was fucking funny because we were like the only black people there. We're like front row. We got like chicken and shit from catering, and me and my pop sitting there just being extra black, yo, being extra black, just cutting up chick, just like get it, Andy, get that boy good, you know, you know. It's like I earned that shit. I earned all of that shit. I earned it all from spending hours up here, from doing all the work that I've done, from helping people build projects, put stuff out, you know, help them network, help with the label and everything. And I can't really say that it's help because we're, you know, it's a partnership, we're working together and everything. It's like I've done all this stuff. This is what I get. You know, these are my rewards. Where you might have the security of that check every Monday or every whatever, bi-weekly, however people get it. This is my thing. I get to do this cool extra shit, and I got to do certain stuff to maintain it, you know? And even, and to the point of what you were saying about what your mom said, I got a funny story. When I was wrestling, I remember I invited my mom and family to come through, and I'm in my gear. I'm trying to call my match and shit, and my mom's like blowing me up. And I'm like, I go outside, I'm like, Mom, like, what's up? What's going on? And she's like, hey, you get me some chicken wings. I got chicken wings here. You give me some chicken wings. I'm like, Mom, like I gotta go call this fight. Like we gotta go do this shit so it don't look fake. Like I can't be out here ordering you wings. Like, Mom, I love you, but shit, like you see, I'm busy. Like you want me to be just in my trunks and gear, just freaking bulging in line for some wings. Like, hey, let me get 13 hot. Like, no,
that's
like,
great.
I'm busy. But no, you know, like just because we're doing what we love and just because we're, you know, making it look easy, don't mean we're not working. And let this be a lesson to other people out here who are working those jobs that they fucking hate. That's not what life is supposed to be. That's not what life is supposed to be. Don't let anybody talk you out of going for the goal. Oh, we got Chaz Gold up here. Don't let anybody talk you out of going for the gold, going for what your idea of the brass ring is. Go get it, because what's gonna make you fucking sick, and what my biggest fear has been is me on my deathbed being like, damn, I should have did this. Because I was like, I'm never gonna. When I hit 25, I was like, you know what? That's when I started wrestling. That's when I really, you know, started going gung ho with the music and doing everything. Like everything that little me wanted to do, I'm gonna fucking do it. So I always got an amazing fucking story to tell, you know. So yeah. Go get it, y'all.
Oh, yeah. Go get it. Go get it.
Hell yeah.
All right.
100%.
100%. Well, everyone, I want to thank you for joining us. And I just want to catch up and say, AttaBotty, Godcloud, I know you got some things that people can support. I know AttaBotty's got Stay Based. This is, you want to tell us about the song?
Oh, yeah. Stay Based is a track that's the anthem for Onchain Summer for Build on Bass. They had a whole event, and yeah, me and Losi, we got together, had the great idea of making them a theme song or an anthem to support the cause, and now here we are later with a whole remix competition, and we got together with Onchain Records to release a digi-physical record. Sonware sponsored the remix competition too, and we're about to announce the winners on this Tuesday. So yeah, and then it's like all thanks to bass, all thanks to this track. It was just like a lot of fun, and this is like one of those super cool collaborations that just like, yeah, one person was like, you want to do something cool, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then it was fun. It was work though, but it led to a lot of cool shit. So that's Stay Based. It's a fun track, EDM, and yeah, it's a banger.
AttaBotty, congratulations on your drop, and
thank you.
Big congratulations on everything that it became. That's awesome. Yeah.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
100. And Godcloud, what do you got going on?
Yeah, you know, this is going to be funny. Kind of dovetailing off of Atta's remix competition. I'm going to be recording vocals for Paul Point and I's entry into said remix
Let's
competition.
go.
So yeah, I'm gonna be doing that. Yeah, I had to clean up the studio, so I don't know if you could tell, but I got my mics all straightened out over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had
Oh,
to
yeah.
order my VCR. I had to put my VCR somewhere different.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I got a new drop on Drip coming out. I just shot a new video with my drone guy, Max God. So I'm putting that video up along with some other Godcloud classics that people may not have seen. You know, like I said, I put so much stuff out. I know everybody hasn't seen everything, so I'm giving it all to the subscribers on Drip. So like, hey, if you haven't seen this, here's some cool shit. Got that coming, and also Paul Point and I have the official video for our track "Middle of the Night" coming out, shot by my drone guy Max God, and I think I was telling you about it, Maxximillian. It's pretty wild. We got like some car chase scenes going on in there. Well, it's just me. It's just me hanging out of a car, and I hope that it doesn't like violate my probation because we are really doing some like wild shit. But yeah, all that. And you know what? Like I'm gonna be doing some other tracks and stuff too. I'm getting back in the booth this weekend. So other than the thing that I'm gonna record, like actually like right now, gonna be getting back in the booth recording. I'm gonna get this one B-side done. So I had to redo the vocals on this one track. Yeah, I'm gonna be putting Godcloud on Doomsday out on Godcloud.org. It's gonna be selling for straight up fiat, not gonna be NFT this time. But yeah, all that's coming out. And what else do I have? I think that's it. I got some new toys. Excited about that. My closet exploded. Sadly. So I had to move a lot of shit out. But yeah, new toys. And I got some popcorn, butter, salt that they use at the movies too. So I'm hyped about that. But yeah, that's it. Much love, y'all.
You're so crazy. You're so crazy. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Maxximillian. You can find me on all the places. You know where to find me. Check the description for links to Godcloud, AttaBotty, and myself, Maxximillian.com. And we'll see you next week. Take care.
Later.